All right, we'll say good evening. Looking forward to another Baruch Hashem great week of Masechus Berachos. So we are picking up on Daf Chof Gimel Amud Aleph, and we left off pretty much like right in the middle of the page. Tanu Rabbanon Hanichnas LaBeis HaKisei. You see that? I don't even know like where to count from in this. It's literally like right in the middle of the page. Okay, you know what? I'll count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. About 20 lines down in the wide lines. It says, Hanichnas LaBeis HaKisei Choletz Tefillah Berichuk Daled Amos V'nichnas. We'll say very interesting cases. Person walks into the bathroom. So the halacha is you have to take off your tefillin at a distance of 4 amos from the bathroom. Okay, so the Gemara says, V'nichnas, then you go into the bathroom. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Acha bar Rav Huna, Amar Rav Sheshes, Lo shanu ela bebeis hakisei kavua. When does that apply? To a beis hakisei kavua. And both say, definition of beis hakisei kavua, an established bathroom. What's the definition of an established bathroom? One in which someone defecated in. That's what makes it a bathroom. Right? That's right. If somebody relieved themselves in that way there, that's a beis hakisei kavua. A beis hakisei arai. I will say if it's a temporary bathroom, I will say it's interesting. What's the definition of a temporary bathroom? Any place you choose, right? So, like, mamish, you decide, you decide to a person decides to urinate somewhere. Suddenly, again, that is a beis hakisei arai, right? That is a temporary bathroom. However, about beis hakisei arai, choletz v'nifna la'alta. So we'll say in that case, then halacha l'maisa, you take off your tefillin, and ultimately, again, you could relieve yourself immediately. And I will say, so it's actually an interesting distinction here. See, if you have an established bathroom, which means that someone had defecated there before, then halacha l'maisa, the assumption is also there may be an odor that's associated there, and even just the presence of waste there requires you to take off your tefillin at a distance of daled amos. However, if essentially you have a beis hakisei arai, a temporary bathroom, which just means someone urinated there but didn't defecate there, then halacha l'maisa, you have to take off your tefillin before you go in, but you could take off your tefillin right at the entrance, so to speak, to this beis hakisei arai. Okay, so the Gemara says, when you come out of the bathroom, obviously, if a person goes into the bathroom and they relieve themselves, they defecated in the bathroom, so then they made this area into a beis hakisei kavua, an established bathroom, and therefore, when coming out, you have to go ahead and distance yourself from the bathroom daled amos before going out and putting on your tefillin. Okay, say bailu. The Gemara asks the kasha, ma'u sheikhanis adam betila beis hakisei kavua lahashtin mayim. So this is very interesting. So remember, these questions sound so incredibly counterintuitive to us, right? So what we hear the Gemara's kasha is, is a person allowed to keep their tefillin on while urinating? I will say now, for us, it sounds like such a foreign question, but understand, it's not so foreign, especially given the fact that when they're talking about bathrooms, they're talking about somewhere like in the middle of the field. Right? They're also talking about a situation where often people would wear tefillin the entire day. So now I understand that obviously one can't defecate while wearing tefillin, but is one permitted to urinate while wearing tefillin? So Ravina Shari, Ravada bar Masna Aser. Ravina says it's mutar, Ravada bar Masna says that it's aser. Hey, machlokas. So asu shayla the Rava, they came to ask Rava about this shayla. Amar lahu aser. Rava says, no, you can't urinate with tefillin on. Why? Chayshinan shema yifne bahen. We are concerned that you may come to defecate. In other words, we're concerned that once we allow you to relieve yourself with tefillin, right, you may come to ultimately defecate.
So to urinate alone would not be a problem.
That's clearly the mashmos. Which is it sounds like totally off base, right? Totally off base. But again, you often find Chazal making a distinction between urinating and defecating, just in terms of from an odor perspective, from an actual tangible waste perspective. So because of that, Chazal seem to be technically okay with urinating with tefillin, right? It's lest you come.
Even spitting is you're not supposed to be doing when you have tefillin, I thought.
Spitting?
I thought it doesn't say something about spitting with your tefillin on is inappropriate.
Maybe that wasn't that you gave shiur. I don't know. I wasn't.
That was Paul Carey.
I wasn't. I left. I wanted to leave it over a little bit for you. I don't know. Maybe we'll see that because the Shulchan Aruch brings down that the halacha is we're going to see, like, let's say a person has phlegm in their mouth, like you're allowed to spit it out during davening. It's just a shayla of like what you spit it into or where you spit it onto. But I don't know. We'll see. Somebody says as follows. Others say no. The concern with allowing you to urinate with tefillin on is flatulence. we'll discuss this as well, that the issue may be concerned not just with defecation of flatulence as well. Tanya idach, another brayso. Hanichnas lebeis hakisei kavua chol tefila berichok dal ramas umanichin b'chalan asanach l'rosh sarab. Also listen to this. Another brayso. Person goes into a beis hakisei kavua. So we'll say a beis hakisei kavua, like for our purposes, means like an outhouse, So what do? Number one, you have to take off your. So number one, you have to take off your tefillin. Number two, you have to take off your tefillin at a distance of dal ramas, right? And number three, this brayse says, "Umanichin b'chalon hasamach l'rishus harabim." And what should you do? Put it by like a window by the rishus harabim. V'nichnas, and then you can go into the bathroom. Ukishuyotse, we'll say, by the way, what does it mean? Put it by a window in the rishus harabim. The idea is put your tefillin like somewhere secure. In other words, you can't put it on the ground. You have to put it somewhere. Ukishuyotse, and when you come out of the bathroom, marchik dal ramis umanichin. Right? And when you come out, ultimately, again, distance yourself dal ramis, and then you can put on the tefillin, divrei Beisham. These are the words of Beisham. Beis Hillel says, och zan biyado v'nichnas. Wild. Beis Hillel says, no. When you go into the bathroom, you can't wear your tefillin, but what can you do? Hold them in your hand. Rabbi Akiva omer, och zan bebigdo v'nichnas. Rabbi Akiva says, hold it in your garment. And you could walk in like that. But big really put your tefillin in your garment? The Gemara says, Zindin mishtali luhu v'nafli. We'll say, isn't there a concern that if I'm putting the tefillin in my garment, the tefillin could fall out? Tefillin could fall out in the bathroom. Ela'ema, ochzan bebigdo, ubiyado v'nichnas. So we'll say, no, what Rabbi Akiva means to say is like this. Hold it in your hand, but cover it in your garment. So in other words, whereas Beis Hillel seems to say you can just hold it in your hand, Rabbi Akiva says cover it in the garment and hold it in your hand so it's secure and it's covered. He goes on, he says, and ultimately again, Rabbi Akiva also brings down, don't leave it by the windows of the Shrabim. Instead, go ahead and find like some type of chor. Chor literally means like a hole, like a crevice in the wall somewhere next to the Beis HaKisei, next to the outhouse. And Abba say, ultimately, again, do not leave your tefillin by the crevices in the wall next to Rosh Hashanah. Abba say, this is pretty wild. Why? Out of a concern, Abba say that if you leave your tefillin by the crevices in the wall of Rosh Hashanah, what could happen? Somebody could take it, somebody could steal your tefillin, and you may become to be suspect of inappropriate behavior. Let's get ready for this. What does that mean? So let's listen to this story. There was once a Talmid Chacham who again was following the advice of the halach over here, was going to the bathroom, took off his tefillin, and put it by a crevice in the wall by Sharabim. Ubasa zona achas v'natlasan. And what happens? A harlot came along, she took the tefillin. And Abba said, then what did she do? Ubas lebeis hamedrash. She came into the beis medrash. Va'amra re'u ma nasin li ploni bischari. And Abba said, I guess on the tefillin bag it had, Chaim Yankel ben whatever Avram Yitzchak. Right, so he has it over there. So she comes in. Look what this Talmid Chacham gave me as payment for my services. We'll say, what happened? Kevan sheshama osa Talmud. Once the Talmid Chacham heard this, right, Allah the Rosh Hagag, he went up to the roof, v'nafal, and ultimately he killed himself. He took the humiliation. I will say, by the way, the story is such an incredible story. I will say, human nature has not changed since the beginning of time, which is people see something like people probably knew this Talmid Chacham for who knows how many years, right? So instead of saying, well, maybe something else happened over here, it's kind of like this becomes incontrovertible proof that obviously he engaged in immoral behavior. And he knew that he would never be able to redeem his reputation. It's just such an overwhelming ma'isa. The Gemara says, Ba'osa Shah, in that moment, after this episode, Hiskinu she'ochzan bebigdo biyado v'nichnas. We'll say it's incredible. After this story happened, Chazal legislated that when you go to the bathroom, take your tefillin in with you. Granted, wrap it in your hold it in your hand, wrap it in your garment, but ultimately, again, do not leave it outside. I will say such a strange event. Tan Rabbanan, Barishon hayu manichin tefillin b'chorin hasmuchel beis hakisei uban achbarin v'not lenosan. So what happened? They used to leave their tefillin by the crevices in the wall outside of the bathrooms, right? And what would happen? Mice would come and take their tefillin. I know, those aren't mice. I don't know what they are, right? That's something much more. You've got more than a mouse issue over there. So it's interesting, just to see the evolution of halacha. So what did Chazal say? Go and put it by the windows in the Shirabim. Then what happened? Then her passerbys would come and steal the tefillin. So what happened? So Chazal instituted, you know what? Just take it with you. Take it with you. There's not really a good alternative. So ultimately, again, wrap it up in a garment. So this way, again, it's not exposed. And take it with you into the bathroom itself. Amarab Miyasha, Braid Rabbi Shubin Levi. Halacha, what's that halacha? Golalon kimin sefer, va'ochzan biyamino kineged libo. So Miyasha said, what should you do? Name Rabbi Shubin Levi. Wrap up your tefillin, wrap it up, and ultimately hold it in your right hand opposite your heart. Right? So it's like the imagery is you have it wrapped up, so you could therefore hold it in your hand, right? Right hand, chashuv, hold it opposite your heart. That way the tefillin are safe, secure, and obviously you're placing it by your heart. Okay, Amud Yomi, Amud Yomi, Amud Nachman, Obilvad, Shelo Tehei Ritzua Yotes Mitachas Yado Tavach. What do you have to be careful about? You have to be careful that the straps don't hang out. In other words, right, we don't want an exposed strap in the bathroom. So therefore, just make sure that when you're wrapping up the tefillin, the ritzuas ultimately, again, are totally covered. I will say, I'll show you a beautiful Rashi here. If you take a look at Rashi, Shelo Teitzei Ritzua, you see it, just go to the right side, about 10 lines up from where we are. Rashi, Shelo Teitzei Ritzua, Sheyesh Ba Kiddusha. The strap of the tefillin has Kiddusha. As I was saying, we're going to talk about this. When it comes to Hilchos Tefillin, what's the most important part of the tefillin, right, is the bias. For example, so let's say a person has a cast on their arm. Can you put on tefillin with the cast on your arm? You can, as long as that bias can get on your bicep. Even if the straps are going to be over a cast, that's fine. If there's a cast all the way up, let's say to my shoulder, chas v'shalom, right, and I can't get on my bicep, that's when there's a problem, right, at least with the shal yad. So he writes over here, but even though, right, he says, Sheyesh Ba Kiddusha, the ritzua, the straps, have holiness as well. Shari Bahan Hu Koshran, because it's the straps, ultimately, again, that allow the tefillin to be fastened onto your body. But this is very beautiful. Ubekesh nir basiyasa kimin dalit al shem achas me'osio shel shakai v'ashin asoy bekosle haketzitza chitzona v'ayud asuya. V'ayud asuya berosh ritzua tefillin shayad. So I will say, if you look at everything on the Ritzua, so ultimately again, right, in the back of the Shal Yad, Shal Rosh, you have a Dalid, right? Ultimately again, on the side of the bias of the Shal Rosh, you have a Shin, and ultimately again, the knot by the Shal Yad is supposed to be a Yud. So you see the Ritzuas themselves, together with the bias, spell out the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He goes on, he says, Va'yud aseh Rosh HaRitzuas tefillin Shal Yad, Ritzua Ketan. I will say now, in addition to the Shin on the bias, and I will say again, everything also depends on how you wrap. But again, when you wrap on your shal yad, so many of us, the way we wrap, ultimately again, is you have a shin on your hand as well, right? So whether Ashkenaz or Sfarad, right? Often again, that hand part is becoming a shin. So interestingly enough, the Ritzuas themselves spell out the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So because the Ritzuas spell out the name of Hashem, therefore they have Kiddusha. Therefore, in wrapping up your tefillin, you have to make sure that a piece of the Ritzua doesn't hang out from the garment in the bathroom. Incredible. So the Gemara goes weiter. The Gemara says, good. So we'll say, so aval ein shus lov b'yavshan osek mikis. Now we'll say, now when do we say that you wrap up your tefillin? Right, wrap up your tefillin, hold it in your right hand opposite your heart, right, wrap it in a beged. When is all of that? That's assuming you're putting your tefillin on again when you come out of the bathroom. There's still time to put your tefillin on. However, I will say, let's say you're going to the bathroom at the end of the day, and by the time you come out already, it's going to be nightfall, right? Or after Shki, after sunset, so it's no longer the Zman of tefillin. So we'll say, so therefore, again, now the Gemara says, what should you do? Aval ein shus b'yom lavshan osek kimin kis tefach umanichan. We'll say, what do? Make a tefillin bag. Here's the makar. Make for yourself a tefillin bag that has an interior space of at least a tefach. Then I will say, now what happens if the bag is an interior space of a tefach? This is actually fascinating. If it has a space of a tefach, then that makes, I will say, a tefach is approximately 3 inches, right? 3.5 inches. So make sure it has an interior space of 3.5 inches all the way around. if you have that actually becomes like an ohel, right? Like literally a tent, but like a structure around the tefillin, which would actually even allow you to put the tefillin down on the ground, right? Because since it's existing in an ohel, therefore halacha l'maisa, it's not like you're placing the tefillin on the ground. You're placing the tefillin in an ohel, in a structure, which is really quite interesting. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Umanichan Amar Rav Chanan Yochanan biyom golon kamin sefer umanicha biyado kineged libo." So we'll say, therefore, if you're going to the bathroom by day, you have to take off your tefillin. So roll them up like a sefer Torah, right? Roll up the tefillin, keep it in your hand, and you can also say the same thing we saw before: right hand opposite the heart, covered with a beged. Ubalayla oselahen kamin kis tefach umanichan. And at night, meaning we'll say, if let's say I'm wearing my tefillin now, but by the time I come out, I'm not going to be wearing my tefillin, or it's no longer the amount of tefillin. In that case, take off your tefillin, wrap them up, and put them in the kiss, put them in the bag that effectively could act as an ohel. Amar Abaye, lo shanu ela b'kli shiur kelyon. I will say, when does the utensil require a tefach? Only if the utensil is specifically set aside for the use of tefillin. However, aval b'kli she'ena kelyon afilu pachos mitavach. But Abbas is interesting. If you're putting tefillin in something else that's not normally a utensil for tefillin, even an interior space of less than a tefach, ultimately again will work to create an ohel. Will work to create an ohel ultimately again for the tefillin themselves. Incredible. So the Gemara goes right there. So the Gemara says, good. Amar Mar Zutra v'Timar Avashi Teda Shaypachim Kitana Matzil Ba'alim. So we'll say, what's the proof to this? The proof to this ultimately is that if you have a house and there's a corpse in the house, remember again, all kalim, all utensils inside the house are tamei. However, I will say, if you have, let's say, utensil, right, a utensil that is a sealed utensil, right? Ultimately, again, let's say you have an earthenware utensil that has a seal, that has a cover on it. Even if the interior of that cover, or even the interior of that kli is less than a tefach, since it's closed and has, therefore again, it's considered to be a chatzitza, or a mechitza, a barrier, ultimately again in front of Tumah. Okay, very interesting. So the Gemara goes like, good, fine. Let's listen to this. So we'll say, so now essentially what comes out of this sugya is the following. Comes out of here is, if you're going to go ahead and if a person is going to go ahead and use the bathroom, what do they have to do? You have to take off your tefillin. If it's a beis hakisei kavua, at a distance of dalar amos. What do you do with the tefillin? If you're going to be putting them on again that day, wrap them up, wrap it in a baguette, hold it in your right hand opposite your heart, and you could even bring it in with you. If you're not going to be putting it on that day, better to wrap it up, put it in the kiss, put it in its bag. That bag can actually act as an ohel and would actually technically, we don't follow this in practice, but technically allow you to go ahead and carry it, even place it on the ground. I'll tell you where this comes up. Interesting, where does this come up? Let's say, right, person's traveling, I'm carrying my talis and tefillin. I have to use the restroom. So what do I do? So actually, we're gonna talk about this in greater depth. But just interesting enough, it sounds like from here, what do you do? What do you do? Right? So first of all, put in your suitcase. That's the easiest thing. But it sounds like, based on this Gemara over here, even just walking in with the bag itself wouldn't be a problem, because the Maisa, it's an ohel. So now again, we'll discuss halacha l'maisa, what to do. But interesting that this far comes from. Let's go a little bit right, another minute. Oh, actually, I was saying, what? We'll.
Isn't there something about double?
Yeah, we're going to get to double. Yeah, a double casing. We're going to get to that. No, you mean like in like your tefillin bag? We're like, no. That's considered to be one bag.
What about the plastic bag?
So good. We're going to talk about that. The pashtus, the answer is yes, even though it's transparent. Yeah. All right. We'll stop over here for tonight. We'll pick up with Amar Rabba and Mir Hashem tomorrow. We'll pick up with this tomorrow. We'll say shkoyach. All right. By the way, that was actually pretty much on schedule. That was a half a Amud. If I'm just saying.